There are things narcissists do accidentally, and then there are things they do on purpose. And when they choose to damage you intentionally, it's because deep down they hate how powerful you really are. Keep listening, because if they've done even one of these things to you, it wasn't a mistake. It was calculated, controlled, and designed to break you where it hurts most. They deliberately target your emotional weak spots, and this is where their cruelty becomes unmistakably intentional. A narcissist pays attention to the parts of you that tremble when you speak. They observe the shift in your voice when you mention your past, the hesitation when you talk about your fears, the softness in your eyes when you reveal what hurt you. They take mental notes, not because they value your honesty, but because they can use it later. At first, it feels like connection. They ask deep questions. They listen closely. They make you feel safe enough to open the doors you usually keep locked. You think you're building trust. They're building a strategy, and the moment they feel criticized, ignored, or outshined, they go straight for the most sensitive part of your emotional history. They don't insult you randomly. They choose the one thing they know will collapse you from the inside. If you fear abandonment, they go silent just long enough to trigger panic. If you fear being unworthy, they withdraw affection until you feel invisible. If you fear being misunderstood, they twist your words until you doubt your clarity. They take what you revealed in vulnerability and turn it into ammunition. This is not an emotional accident. It's precise. It's cold. It's intentional. They strike when you're already tired. They strike when you're confused. They strike when they know you won't fight back effectively. And then to add another layer of harm, they pretend it was never meant to hurt you. They act surprised by your reaction, call you dramatic, or claim they were just joking. They distort your reality so you question whether the pain was real. They want you unstable. They want you emotional. They want you doubting yourself because the weaker you feel, the more control they have. And yet, the reason they attack your soft spots is not because you're weak. It's because those soft spots reveal your depth, your capacity to feel, your ability to connect. These are qualities they cannot replicate. They damage you intentionally because your emotional strength exposes their emotional emptiness. Before we go deeper, if you've ever felt emotionally drained or confused after interactions with someone, stay with me. Understanding this can save you months, maybe even years of pain. They mock your vulnerabilities when no one is watching. A narcissist saves their most venomous behavior for moments when the world isn't looking. In public, they often appear charming, composed, even protective of you. But behind closed doors, when there are no witnesses, they let their real nature surface. And this is when they mock the very things you once trusted them with. They remember the secrets you shared, the fears you admitted, the insecurities you tried to overcome, and they twist them into quiet insults designed to sting in a way no outsider would ever understand. It doesn't always look like loud, obvious cruelty. Sometimes it's a smirk when you talk about something that matters to you. Sometimes it's a sarcastic comment meant to poke the wound you hoped they'd help you heal. Sometimes it's an eye roll, a dismissive laugh, or a whispered jab that sounds harmless to anyone who didn't know your history. But you know what it means. You feel the hit because it's targeted, it's personal, it's intentional. They choose private moments because they want the damage to be silent and invisible. So if you try to explain it to someone, you sound oversensitive or dramatic. They like the idea of breaking you in ways no one else can see. It keeps you isolated. It keeps you doubting yourself. It keeps them in control. Over time, these small private humiliations chip away at your sense of worth. You start shrinking around them, avoiding certain topics, censoring yourself, trying not to give them material. That's not love. That's psychological warfare. They want you to feel unsafe in your own vulnerability because your vulnerability is something they can't tolerate. It reminds them of what they lack, and the cruelest part is this. They mock you not because your vulnerabilities are shameful, but because your willingness to be open threatens them. Genuine emotional depth is foreign to them, so they belittle what they can't comprehend. Their private cruelty is proof of how deeply your authenticity exposes their emptiness, so they try to tear it down before it reminds them of everything they're not. They sabotage your confidence with subtle jabs. Narcissists rarely shatter your confidence in one dramatic moment. They do it slowly, quietly, and with such subtlety that you often don't realize it's happening until you're already doubting yourself. Their goal isn't just to hurt your feelings. They want to erode your belief in your own value, your abilities, and your potential. And they do it with small calculated comments that sound harmless on the surface, but are designed to land like emotional paper cuts. It usually starts with what they call jokes. They laugh at your dreams, your talents, your passions. They'll smirk and say things like, "Are you sure you can handle that?" Or "You're overreacting again." Or "Wow, you really think that's a big accomplishment?" They'll dismiss the things you're proud of, minimizing your effort or shifting the spotlight away from your growth. Every time you express excitement, they introduce doubt. Every time you feel strong, they introduce insecurity. Every time you make progress, they try to shrink you back into a version they can control. What makes this so damaging is the repetition. One jab doesn't break you, but 50 of them spread out over weeks or months do. Suddenly, you find yourself second, guessing your choices, your appearance, your intelligence, even your intuition. You hear their voice in your head more than your own. That's the goal. When your confidence weakens, they become the one you look to for reassurance, and reassurance is the one thing they will always withhold. They also love to deliver these jabs when you're vulnerable, when you're tired, stressed, or emotionally open, because that's when their words sink the deepest. And afterward, when you react, they pretend they didn't mean it that way. They accuse you of being too sensitive or claim they were trying to help. This is how they keep you confused and emotionally off balance. But the truth is clear. A narcissist sabotages your confidence because your confidence threatens them. Your strength highlights their insecurity. Your potential exposes their stagnation. So instead of rising with you, they chip away at you, hoping you'll shrink small enough for them to feel big. They withhold affection and validation on purpose. A narcissist knows exactly how much their attention affects you. In the beginning, they may have given you warmth, praise, affection, or interest just enough to make you feel seen, valued, and connected. But once they sense that you care, that you're invested, or that you've become emotionally attached, they weaponize the very thing that made you feel close to them. They begin to pull away, not accidentally, but intentionally. This withdrawal is strategic. They stop complimenting you. They stop showing enthusiasm. They stop initiating conversations or affection. They become cold, distant, or emotionally unavailable at the exact moments you need reassurance the most. And this shift confuses you because you've seen how loving they can be when they want something. Now the warmth is gone, replaced by silence, indifference, or irritation. You start wondering what you did wrong. That's the trap. They want you to chase the version of them that no longer exists. By withholding affection, they create emotional starvation. And when someone is starved, they begin to work harder for crumbs. That's what the narcissist wants. Your effort, your devotion, your confusion, your overcompensation. The less they give, the more you give. The more they pull back, the more you lean in. It's psychological conditioning. They also use this withdrawal to punish you. If you set a boundary, question them, express a need, or simply fail to give them the attention they think they deserve, they pull away instantly. It's their way of saying, You displeased me, and now you'll pay for it. You feel the emotional temperature drop. You feel the shift in the air, and the silence becomes louder than any argument. What makes this so painful is that you keep hoping the affection will return. You remember what it felt like when they were warm, and you cling to that memory. But narcissists never withhold because they're overwhelmed or unsure. They withhold because it gives them power. Your longing becomes their control. They deny you affection, not because you're unlovable, but because they know it's the fastest way to destabilize you and the quickest way to make themselves feel superior. They rewrite history to make you doubt your sanity. One of the most chilling things a narcissist does, especially when they harbor deep resentment toward you, is rewriting history in ways that distort your memory, your logic, and eventually yourself. Rust. This isn't simple lying. This is psychological disorientation. They take moments that actually happened, twist the details, flip the roles, and present a version of events so confidently that you start questioning your own mind. It often begins subtly. You remember them saying something hurtful, and they insist they never said that. You recall a promise they made, and they claim you imagined it. You confront them about a behavior, and they suddenly have an entirely different timeline, one that somehow makes you the problem. At first, you defend yourself, you argue, you repeat facts, you dig for clarity, but they remain calm, steady, and unshaken, while you become more emotional, more confused, and more desperate to be understood. That's exactly what they want. They slowly erode your confidence in your own perception. When they see you hesitate just for a second, they push harder. They tell you your memory is flawed. They call you forgetful, dramatic, or unstable. They say things like, "You always twist things," "You're remembering wrong again," or "This is why I can't talk to you." Over time, their certainty becomes louder than your inner voice, and you start relying on their version of events because yours feels shaky. And here's the psychological trap. The more you doubt your mind, the easier you are to control. If they can make you question what happened yesterday, they can manipulate how you behave today. If they can distort the past, they can dictate the present. This keeps you apologizing for things you didn't do, defending yourself against accusations that aren't real, and explaining feelings they claim you shouldn't have. Narcissists rewrite history because the truth makes them accountable, and accountability is something they cannot tolerate. As long as you're confused, they're safe. As long as you're doubting yourself, they're in control. And as long as their version of reality dominates, they never have to confront the damage they intentionally caused. They destroy your self-image because they envy you. A narcissist doesn't attack the parts of you they consider weak. They attack the parts of you they secretly wish they had. When they hate you deeply, it's often because something about you exposes their emptiness. Maybe it's your empathy, your resilience, your intelligence, your ambition, your independence, or simply the way other people appreciate you. Whatever it is, they see it as a threat, and instead of admiring it, they try to destroy it. They chip away at your self-image, not out of frustration, but out of envy. They want to dim the qualities in you that make them feel inferior. They want you smaller so they can feel bigger. They want you insecure so they can feel powerful. They want you questioning yourself so they can maintain the illusion of superiority. They do this quietly. They'll criticize your appearance in ways that sound helpful. They'll question your talents with subtle comments like, "Are you sure that's your strength?" They'll make backhanded compliments designed to confuse you. "You're pretty for your age," or "You're smart," but sometimes you really overthink. Every jab is disguised as honesty, advice, or concern. But the goal is to corrode how you see yourself. They also compare you to others. Sometimes people you don't even know. Sometimes people you've confided about. They highlight your flaws while exaggerating someone else's strengths. And they do it with a tone of casual indifference, as if their words shouldn't hurt, but they know they do, and that's why they keep doing it. The more your confidence slips, the more comfortable they become. They love seeing you hesitate in front of the mirror, downplay your achievements, or shrink in situations where you should shine. It reassures them. It soothes their insecurity. It gives them a sense of control. But the truth they'll never admit is this: they target the parts of you they cannot replicate. The qualities they try to destroy are the ones they secretly admire but can never embody. Their attacks on your self-image are nothing more than reflections of their own self, hatred projected onto you. They celebrate quietly or openly when you fail. A narcissist's reaction to your failure reveals more about their hidden hatred than anything else. When they resent you deeply, your struggles become their source of satisfaction. They won't always clap their hands or celebrate in obvious ways. Many narcissists are too calculated for that. Instead, they show it through subtle smirks, strangely calm reactions, or a sudden surge of confidence when something goes wrong in your life. They don't empathize with you. They don't feel concerned. They feel relief. Your failure reassures them. It makes them feel superior, competent, and in control. The moment something in your life breaks, a plan, a dream, a relationship, an opportunity, they feel a shift inside them. They suddenly become more relaxed, more talkative, more smug. They may even pretend to be supportive, but their tone doesn't match their words. Their eyes reveal satisfaction, not sympathy. Sometimes they celebrate more openly. They might say, "I knew that would happen," or "You always take on too much," or "Maybe now you'll listen to me." These comments aren't advice, they're victory laps. They want you to remember you fell. They want you to associate your setbacks with their so-called wisdom. They want your pain to reinforce their dominance. They especially take pleasure in your emotional failures. The moments you feel insecure, overwhelmed, or doubtful. If you cry, they act irritated. If you're stressed, they blame you. If you're disappointed, they turn it into a lecture. Your vulnerability becomes their ego boost, and when you succeed, notice how their energy drops. Notice how their mood shifts. Notice how they suddenly become cold, dismissive, or argumentative. Narcissists hate when you rise, but they feed off your collapse. This behavior exposes their internal truth. They don't see you as a partner, a friend, or a loved one. They see you as competition. Your light threatens them. Your potential intimidates them. Your progress reminds them of what they lack. They celebrate your failures because in their mind, your setbacks are proof that they're winning. But all it really shows is the depth of their insecurity and how much your strength destroys the illusion they built around their own superiority. They try to isolate you from anyone who might protect, validate, or empower you. When a narcissist begins to hate you deeply, and especially when they intentionally want to damage you, the first thing they attack is your support system. They know that as long as you have people who care about you, people who can remind you of your worth, or people who can give you perspective, they cannot fully control you. So they work quietly, strategically, and persistently to isolate you from anyone who might strengthen you. It starts with subtle comments. They sow doubt about the people you trust. Are you sure they really care about you? Or I don't think they understand you the way I do. They plant seeds of paranoia, making you question the loyalty of friends and family. They do it casually as if they're concerned, but the real goal is to weaken your connection with others. Then they escalate. They create conflicts between you and the people you love. They misinterpret messages, twist conversations, or provoke arguments. They make you feel like spending time with others is betrayal or a sign you're pulling away. And when you start shrinking your circle to keep the peace, They act relieved as if isolation was your idea, not their manipulation. They also try to monopolize your time and emotions. They demand attention when you're supposed to be somewhere else. They guilt-trip you for spending time with others. They shut down emotionally the moment you show interest in someone besides them. And if you dare to reconnect with someone they pushed away, they respond with stonewalling, passive aggression, or full-blown rage. This isolation is intentional. When you stand alone, you become easier to control. Your reality becomes whatever they say it is. Your emotions revolve around their moods. Your confidence depends on their approval. That's exactly what they want. But the most revealing part is this: they isolate you. Not because your relationships are harmful, but because those relationships threaten their dominance. Anyone who could empower you, validate you, or help you see the abuse becomes a danger to their control. Isolation is their way of weakening your foundation, so they can break you from the inside out quietly, invisibly, and without resistance.